Hello, Chinese. Hello, Chinese viewers. I am DS, your psychologist, and welcome to another episode on Channel NITT. So we have just released an episode on SE tertiary function for the ENTJ. So this episode we're going to talk about FI inferior for the ENTJ. When I think of FI, one of the first few things that come into my mind would be personal emotions. So at Channel NITT, we have already released 2 episodes on the ENTJ and their emotions. So we will not talk about that in this episode. In this episode, we'll look at other aspects of FI. The first aspect is me, myself, and I. Me time. So personally, as an ENTJ, I don't need a lot of me time. But when TE is overstressed, then FI seems to be activated. The additional energy of the suppressed FI will build up over time, and then I will need a lot of me time. When I mean a lot, it's like 2 hours. So quite often, I have quite a lot of work to do, and TE is always overactivated. This causes FI to be suppressed. As mentioned in some of my previous videos, if you suppress a particular function or when you suppress a particular emotion, it will still be able to gather energy. So FI does gather energy, but not as much as SE. When SE reaches a 80% threshold, then it will start to leak out. For FI, it takes longer. But definitely, I do experience FI leaks as well. And the good thing is, it does not last as long as an SE rampage. So what happens after a very tiring work day? Then I need a lot of me time. And when I mean a lot, it's really like 1 or 2 hours. Sometimes even only 10 minutes. So I could be at the computer or the laptop, I am editing, then I feel tired. So I say, I'm going to give myself 10 minutes break. Now to think about it, it sounds like self-torture. I am being very harsh on myself, so 10 minutes is already a lot, and I will want to come back to work again because this is called work ethic, right? I think the ENTJ has a really high sense of work ethic. Work must come first. So a lot of times FI is being sacrificed, but still there is a need for FI to come in. So during my free time, I just walk around, zone out, get myself a drink, and sometimes I eat comfort food. So FI for me is also finding comfort for myself. So I have a wide range of comfort foods, particularly sweet ones like ice cream. I don't really like cakes, so ice cream, cuttlefish, potato chips. Even a soft drink can be considered a comfort food for me. So when I'm taking a break, definitely I might want to consider eating something to make myself feel happy. One thing to note though, even when I'm considering comfort food, TE still comes into play. So for example, let's say I would be eating Western food, and actually I prefer onion rings as a side dish to French fries. But whenever I order onion rings, they only give me 4. As compared to if I order French fries, I get a bunch. So TE looks at it and say, onion ring no good because there's not enough, it's not worth the price. So a lot of times my FI is heavily mediated or monitored by my TE. Another example of this is pampering myself. So I could go and get a drink, I can say, okay, avocado for today is more expensive, it's nutritious. Or I can say, okay, maybe to pamper myself, but my TE always kicks in and say, having abalone, bird nest, all this nutritious food for just a single day is not going to help you much. You must think of the long run. Are you going to have this every week? If not, then please eat cheaper food. So as a result, I always indulge in lower range comfort foods. Also, I do not have this need to feel like a king. Why? Because TE is always there to restrict my enjoyment. TE will always remind me that if you are only having it for one time only, then it is not going to help you at all in terms of your complexion, in terms of your health. You must do it on a regular basis. And if you can't afford to do it on a regular basis, either because of cost or because you are weak in your SI, then don't do it. So moving on, we have another aspect of FI, and that is personal values. So most of the time, I would say that this aspect of FI is really very subjective compared to objective TE. However, objective TE can also be triggered to work with FI. What do I mean by that? Because TE is a very objective function. TE cares about fairness. If we feel that we are being exploited, then FI might be triggered. So quite recently, I called my salon and asked for a haircut. They say they have to raise the price by $5. So initially the haircut cost $16, now it costs $21 for the same haircut. And the reason being, because it's Chinese New Year period. As a TE user, I think that's okay. However, I have watched the news and I saw that many salons decided not to raise the price this year because it has been a very difficult year for many people. So this Chinese New Year, many salons are not increasing the price. So why should you? Well, personally, it's not that I don't want to pay the additional $5, that is okay, but I feel really exploited. I feel that you are exploiting the situation, you are not being sensible, you are being inconsiderate. So, wow, FI energy, okay? So as a result of this, I have decided to boycott my salon. And I went to a random barber to have my hair cut. So here you see a different hairstyle, which I quite like actually. So sometimes I don't feel passionate enough about a particular value to want to boycott a company, to boycott a person, to boycott a brand. However, most of the time, it is transient, which means to say I would revert back to normal. Alternatively, if this company were to do some service recovery, I would gladly take it. Because they are making an effort, right? So objectively, I will abandon my personal values or my personal opinions and be very objective about it. However, there is an exception in my life. There is a bank that I have boycotted since I was 25 till today. And I will continue to boycott that bank because the bank was being very unfair. It overcharged me. And no service recovery was ever made. So therefore, for this entire life, I will not patronize or I will not be a customer of this bank ever. Again. So in my previous episode on SE, I mentioned that my SE rampage can last for a long period of time. Long meaning like 3 days, 4 days. Like if I want to play games, if I want to exercise, then it goes on a like 3 to 4 day mode. So there's a lot of energy overflowing when SE accumulates enough energy, and this energy makes me uncomfortable and I just want to release it. So if I decide that I want to exercise compulsively, or I want to have a mini-series binge-watching episode, or I want to improve my complexion, I can be very compulsive about it. So every day I could put on a facial mask, I will remember. Or every day I will just do push-ups in my own residence and I will do it every hour. But then, very predictably, the passion will die off after 3 to 4 days. It's as if I'm an NE dominant. But actually what I'm doing is I have accumulated a lot of SE energy and just trying to get rid of it because it's very uncomfortable. There is some motivation, but the motivation just dies, withers. Because to me, TE will say that this is not an efficient thing. You want to gym for what? You want to look good for what? For who? And SI also doesn't help because I just cannot complete regimes. Now, FI is even worse because FI is my inferior function. So if FI has accumulated enough energy and FI needs an outlet or release, FI can only last for a few hours. So if I want to give myself a treat, I want to pamper myself, yes, I could do that, but it's a very short while, maybe 2-3 hours, and that's it. So comparing a tertiary function and an inferior function, the inferior function is really inferior. So fellow ENTJs, does this resonate with you as well? Do comment below. And for all the MBTI types who are interested in the ENTJ, thank you very much. If you have not subscribed, do consider subscribing so that we can bring you more ENTJ and MBTI. And if you have a video that you want us to produce, regardless of whether it's an ENTJ or any MBTI types or a psychological topic, do comment below as well. Okay, I am going to sign off now and I'll see you in my next episode. Goodbye!